Have you ever wanted to play a video game where the puzzles actually make you feel like a genius? Say goodbye to all of that Legend of Zelda, find the eyeball in the room and shoot it bullshit. Throw all of these memories in the trash. Well, now you're probably saying, oh, but that was my puzzle. What am I ever going to solve now? Well, I'm glad you asked, because the answer is everything! Everything's a puzzle! Everything's a puzzle! It's all puzzles! Ah! Welcome to the world of Professor Layton, where if you don't solve a puzzle every 5 seconds, you're executed under penalty of law. If there's ever been a fictional man who I simultaneously really want to meet and also never ever want to meet, it's my boy Layton over here. For all of the amazing adventures he's been on, he's got to be the most frustrating guy to talk to. Professor Layton will be walking to his car and pull 10 puzzles out of his wazoo just by seeing a used toothpick on the ground. Don't ask how, because the ultimate puzzle of this series is Layton himself.
Every puzzle has an answer.
Professor Layton is a fun character, but let's talk about the games themselves. I mean, that's arguably why you're here. As of recording this, I've played through the first 3 Professor Layton games and I'm currently making my way through the 4th one. And whoo golly gee, am I having a time. That sounded very sarcastic, but genuinely, I'm having a freaking blast. Each game has you go to several locations trying to solve some mystery, and along the way, you solve literally dozens, if not hundreds, of dang old puzzles. Talk to someone? Puzzle. Look at something? Puzzle. Don't even think about trying to have a conversation with someone because they're just gonna say, I'll talk to you if you can find all of the hidden cots in this painting. And you're gonna go, what? Why? What constitutes a hidden cat here? Is this cat hidden? I mean, he's not really hidden, he's just kind of right there. Like, is he even in the painting? Does this area count as the painting? How am I supposed to know what the hell a hidden cat looks like? Okay, yeah, he is. Okay, yeah, real fair, man. Pick-a-rat theft is not a joke. Solving these correctly gets you pick-a-rats, which can be used to unlock rewards and sometimes even more puzzles at the end of the game, and as soon as you solve one wrong, you lose them forever. There really is nothing that makes you feel quite as inadequate as seeing that you're only getting half of the possible pick-a-rats from a puzzle. Luckily, there's an abundance of puzzles, so it's not usually hard to get a pretty hefty sum of pick-a-rats. For as much as I'm making fun of it, this actually isn't an issue at all, and that's for 2 reasons. One is because a solid 80% of the puzzles are fantastic. They're the bulk of why you would play this game. Getting a new puzzle, even when it's happened literally hundreds of times by this point, still feels so great. I'm always excited for that music to start and be given a brand new question that's probably going to take me 10 minutes to answer. Unfortunately, the exception to this is the other 20% of the time, where it's finding some cats, or worse, another goddamn sliding puzzle. I hate these, they make me claustrophobic, and they take me like 30 minutes to solve. God damn it, not another one. Why the fuck are there so many goddamn sliding puzzles? The other reason it's normally not an issue, though, is because... bear with me, but as much as I love the characters of these games, the plot is all over the place. Fair warning, I'm going to be talking a bit about my experience with the games, and that does include spoilers for the first 4 Professor Layton games. Nothing too specific, but I am going to touch on the endings because, God, how could I not? Honestly, I don't really think it's worth skipping, the plots are really not too big of a deal, but just in case, go to this timestamp. I don't want to spoil it for anyone if you care. Ready? Okay, cool. Hey, y'all remember when the solution to the overall mystery was an entire fake London built underneath the real London populated with actors? What? Remember when it was an entire fake city populated with robots? I don't know why they love entire fake cities so much. Remember when it was a real city for once, but this time there was a hallucinogenic metal that caused everyone to somehow see the exact same hallucination? God, for a series that's about logic and puzzle solving, these games sure do love to throw all of that out the window. For this point, I'm just waiting for the reveal at the end of the whole series that Professor Layton was the frickin' rhythm thief the whole time. I mean, the plots otherwise are usually pretty solid. I'm normally grabbed by the beginning, and while they definitely drag here or there with what's pretty obviously filler that's just there for puzzles, I still stick through because the games are just so fun. It's not a huge thing, again, but I really would love to see some real aha moments at the end of one of these games. You know, something that makes you feel the same way as you do with the rest of the puzzles. As it stands, there's just a bit of a disconnect between the small puzzles and the large one. Nothing to ruin the games, but I certainly wish it was done better. I mean, it's not too much to ask for, is it? I just want a Professor Layton game where the solution to the overarching mystery isn't a dinosaur. Is that unreasonable? Of course, it's not just Professor Layton himself who you go on adventures with. On each of the games, you also have Luke, the self-titled apprentice of Professor Layton, and a girl. Who the girl is varies on which game you're playing. If it's in the prequel trilogy, it's Emmy. But if you're in the original trilogy, it's the saddest and most forgotten little girl I've ever seen. I'm not far enough in Last Spectre to get a solid opinion on Emmy. I mean, she seems alright so far, but Guys, level 5, come on! Poor Flora deserves so much more than what she got. At first it seems like she's gonna be, I don't know, like, you know, another Luke, like a fun, entertaining character who travels around with you. But God, in Professor Layton 2 and 3, she gets kicked to the curb more times than I used to on long family road trips. I don't understand why they seem so hesitant to make her more of a mainstay. I mean, I liked her character enough, I really wouldn't have minded if she had stayed, but Layton and Luke disagree with me there, I guess. I mean, the way Professor Layton constantly says that she needs to stay behind because he's worried for her safety is awfully out of character. I mean, where was this conscience when you drove Luke, a little boy, up into a giant robot of death? Despite my tiny nitpicks here, the games genuinely are great. The puzzles are always a good time, I mean almost always a good time, and I'm actually scared of that day when I've played through all of them. I really don't want that to happen. I love these games. It's such a good time playing through them, seeing the adventures, being with the characters, and solving really fun and challenging brain teasers most of the time. I can't stress that enough. And what's really surprising to me is that I don't know anyone who's played these games, or at the very least, nobody has ever talked to me about these games. I mean, in general, I don't really feel like I hear about them at all. I assume they sold pretty well. I mean, there's 6 main games and a 7th kind of main game. I just never hear anybody talk about them. It's definitely worth the time and effort to find one of these games and give it a try. It's a really good series and all of them are fun little adventures. If I had to recommend one that you start with, it would probably be Professor Layton and the Curious Village. It's the first one in the series and the puzzles all hold up, so there's really not much of a reason to not start here. But if you don't start here and you play a later one first, you're not going to be missing much. The only one I really recommend you don't start with is Professor Layton's Oops, All Sliding Puzzles, because I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Wait, that's not a game. Ha!